Well, well, I'm here again. It's been a long time, hasn't it? Yep, it's been around 3 years since the last upload, so the question is, where the hell have you been? And the answer to that's quite simple, actually. I decided to take a huge break away from YouTube. There were many reasons which contributed towards that decision, but one of the main reasons was that the setup I used was not efficient enough to make good, high quality content for you guys. So now that I've got that out of the way, and I've got a brand new setup, what I decided to do is forget about the past and move into the future. And what I'm going to be doing from now on is creating New World content. But you may be thinking, what is New World? Well, if you haven't already, then I'll tell you all about it in this video, so stay tuned and keep listening. So what is New World? New World is a brand new open world MMORPG. What that means is that there are no loading screens within the game, and you can traverse the world in any way that you want. The game is developed by Amazon Game Studio. What? Amazon is making games? Yes, you heard that right. Amazon, which delivers your parcels, is now trying to deliver you a brand new MMO, which in scale and scope is quite ambitious. But I think they've got something nice cooked up for you guys. The game is set on an isolated island in the middle of the sea called Eternum. It is a mystical island filled with mystery and corruption. When you start the game as a new player, your ship shipwrecks on the island, and your goal from then as a player is to survive. You'll embark and discover many new enemies that you'll have to fight off, as well as many tools and resources that you can gather so that you can become the best fighter/crafter on the island. So, the first thing that makes this MMO more unique than any other MMO that you might have played is its combat system. The game features a real-time combat system, which means as a player you must move and dodge the enemies, just like you would in Dark Souls. Your position is important. But don't worry, it won't be as brutal to play as Dark Souls was, and still is to this day. Unlike Dark Souls, there is no punishment for getting killed, except for having to respawn and run back to the location of your corpse, which may cost you some time, but that's really it. Weapons work in a way that you have to physically strike your enemies, and if you miss, then no damage will be given, so it's important that your weapon drives through the enemy in real time. Same goes for projectile weapons. Other MMOs such as World of Warcraft use a combat system called the tab target, which is complete opposite of what New World is trying to do, therefore we should praise them for this. However, there are a few instances where this combat can feel janky and dysfunctional, especially in large group battles and high ping servers, but I'm sure they'll be able to fix this in time with future patches. So now that we've covered the combat system, how does it feel inside of PvP? Here it gets a bit tricky for me to describe. The general concept of it is quite good, however most of the time it feels like you and the enemy are swinging at each other, constantly trying to out DPS each other and popping potions. But there are also moments where the combat system shines and it works the way it was intended, without any lag or any other issues. Mate, this game. You shouldn't be able to eat as much food as he is. Mate, he's so f***ing dumb. Okay, well, maybe PvP has got some issues, but all that can be resolved with a little bit of tweaking. For example, the food consumption should be placed on a cooldown when used in battle. In that fight you just saw, the opponent used many consumables to recover his health, which extend the duration of the fight. Potions are fine because once you consume them, they go on a 30-second cooldown, which prevents them from being used again. Also, Large scale PvP battles get quite laggy, which makes the game unplayable and not enjoyable, but apart from those two factors, I think New World is in a great spot in terms of PvP. Next up is the crafting and gathering system. The crafting system is also quite in depth inside of New World. There are thousands of items that players can craft. The game features harvesting, refining and crafting skills. The game allows you to harvest things in 5 sets of categories. You've got mining, gathering, such as plants and fibre, skinning, fishing, logging. These are the names of all the gathering professions. There's also refining professions, which include smelting, woodworking, leatherworking, weaving, stone cutting. There are also crafting skills, which include weaponsmithing, armouring, engineering, jewel crafting, arcana, cooking, and lastly furnishing. Unlike other MMOs, you're able to level up multiple professions or trade skills as New World calls them, without having to respec, which is great and reminds me of a system that RuneScape uses. So in the end you're actually able to master every single profession, which is going to be a huge goal for many players within the game. The last thing that I'm going to be covering in this video is the faction system that exists within New World. The game features 3 factions which you can be a part of. When you complete a part of your main quest, you will be asked to pick a faction. You're able to pick one faction from the following: the Syndicate, Covenant or Marauders. First up we have the Marauders. The Marauders are a ruthless military force bent on establishing a free nation where anybody with strength to do so can prosper and profit. They are your typical military faction. Next up we have the Syndicate. The Syndicate is a secretive organisation of boundless ghoul and intellect in search of forbidden knowledge to usher in a new age of enlightenment. These guys are your knowledge-seeking faction. And lastly, we have the Covenant. The Covenant is a fanatical order that has charged itself with cleansing the land of heretics and defilers so that its true holy nature can flourish and justice can be restored. Once you choose a faction, your one goal will be to aid it and make sure that they can take over all the settlements on the island and be the most dominant faction on the server. Factions are able to control settlements which provide them with unique benefits. For example, the controller faction gets discounts on the following items: house tax, teleportation costs, and crafting fees. These discounts are important and they can save you a huge amount of resources, so you want to make sure that your faction is controlling the settlement as much as possible. The game is obviously much more than what I have discussed today, and it's only going to keep growing in the future, and I want to grow alongside it and watch it flourish into one of the best MMOs on the market. The game is currently in a closed beta, and I've already managed to put 120 hours of game time into it, and there isn't anything preventing me from sinking more hours in. If you want to see me live, go to twitch.tv/Crispin_TTV, and you should be able to catch me there streaming. If you want to stay up to date with everything New World related, make sure to slap that like button and subscribe. There is much more New World content coming your way. See you in Eternum.